May, say hi. Crushed it. And Mrs. Untamed feature.
Hello.
He is wearing a wrestling singlet. He only wrestles 2 days a week, but he wears it at least 5 days a week. Is that right, dude? And a May feature. Hey YouTube, Untamed here. Today I'm down at the Carmax in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm going to highlight the 3 primary reasons why you should never buy your vehicle from Carmax. And at the end of this video, stick around, I will highlight what my advice would be if you happen to be in a market for a new vehicle or a used vehicle in 2024. Stick with me. So reason number 1, and it perhaps is the most overlooked reason, that would be lot rot. So we've talked about it briefly before on the channel, but a lot of these vehicles, if you look at how long they've just been sitting on the lot here, it is well over 45 days. And when a vehicle is just sitting here idle, not being driven, not lubricating anything within its powertrain at all, that is a recipe for disaster. When it's just sitting stagnant, vehicles are built to be driven and built to be driven often. So when they're just sitting here, it becomes a problem. Of course, it becomes a problem for the tires. Everything that you can think of needs to be seeing some motion. And reason number 2 is the interest rates. So Carmax has their own in-house financing, right? And they try to push for that first when you're financing with them. And when you look at their interest rates compared to even what the average is nationally, they're high. They're a little high across the board. To be fair, interest rates are high across the nation regardless, but these interest rates in particular, those are a little out of reach, and they're even more spiked up than what you would find normally right now. So those interest rates, if you're getting 18% interest rate on $35,000, you'll quickly spend over 50 grand for this 2019 Toyota Highlander XLE. This will cost over 50 grand by the time you're done with your 72-month loan. That is insane. So spending over 50 grand, and then by that time, after the 72-month loan, this vehicle here, this Highlander, will be easily worth 15 to 20 grand. I'm always interested in seeing what they want for the 4Runner. So we got a few stacked up over here. We'll start with the TRD Pro for fun. Let's pop over to the other side. We are looking at a 2019 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro for $48,000 with 45,000 miles on it. That is absolutely absurd. This is actually just barely more than what it was brand new. So I think MSRP was between 47 and 48, depending on how you spec it. You can get a couple additional things like running boards and whatnot, but you're spending brand new 2019 MSRP on it. You know, if you buy a brand new one, you are going to get stock right around $57,000 in today's day and age for a 2024 4Runner. So that is extreme for having 45,000 miles on it. Let's look at this older one for fun. So 2012, still a 5th generation 4Runner, still the same exact platform, a 6-cylinder, 4-liter V6 here. Very, very similar, but $22,000. This one here is not a 4-wheel drive. Note that, and that's a pretty big thing to consider. We have a 2021 4Runner SR5 Premium for $34,000 with 48,000 miles. That is redonkulous, guys. Just buy brand new. Get brand new, spend barely more than that, and get one with 0 miles on it, right? 0 miles, 0 stories. You'll know the full history from day one. It is worth the extra peace of mind, especially when you're not getting hit with an interest rate credit like that, right? And the third reason is the pricing, okay? And this is the most obvious, but let me kind of explain here. So because Carmax has to appease all the stakeholders, it is a slow-moving ship. It is like moving a ship. It isn't just, hey, let's slash prices here and there. Let's slash prices across the entire US 10 to 15%. They can't just do that. You know, there's people that have to make that decision, call those shots, and we have to make sure the stakeholders are looped in when big decisions are made. That causes them to be slow at moving across the board. And in today's market where everything is just spiraling downward, they need to be quick, they need to be agile, and they just don't have that luxury, unfortunately. So the pricing here, as I walk through all these vehicles, I can comfortably tell you that we are 10 to 15% overpriced. So what I do is I'll come through here and I'll look at different vehicles, and then I will Google that vehicle and look nationwide and see what the going rate really is for that vehicle here. So for instance, this 2019 Mini Cooper, they want $28,000 for. So all 4 iconic Mini Cooper Countryman S here. So this, what I would do, I would come here, look at that price tag, I'll Google exactly this and look for very similar ones with similar miles of 29,000 miles. And as I do this across the board here, these vehicles 10 to 15% overpriced easily. So that is reason number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Do not spend 10 to 15% more than what you should be. Not to mention, if you finance with them, you're getting beat up with a terrible interest rate. That is a recipe for disaster. We got Jeeps for days and days and days and days. You know, a lot of you guys have actually commented on my previous videos saying that Carmax really targets and preys on people with poor or subprime credit. We got a buggy feature.
Hi, YouTube.
Crushed it. We got a family feature. Got a May feature first. May, say hi. Crushed it. And a Mrs. Untamed feature. Repping the Wyoming sweater. How about that? And we got a Bugaboo feature who just woke up from a nap. Okay. All right. So, as I was saying, a lot of people say that Carmax has always kind of taken advantage of and preyed upon people with subprime credit, right? So it's a good thing, right? I mean, if you have bad credit, you can buy a vehicle from here pretty easily. I mean, they will generally get you approved for a vehicle loan. So that's the benefit of it. If you need to get approved, they'll likely figure out a way to do it, even if it is at your own detriment with a 25% interest rate. But you know, people can't live with that, right? So then they quickly find themselves in a position where they're overpaying drastically for a vehicle, and then what does that do? That puts them in a position where they have to, you know, get their vehicle repossessed, and that is the unfortunate truth, right? So if they're spending, you know, already 10 to 15% more on a vehicle than what it's worth at the time of purchase, and then you get slapped with a 20 to 25% interest rate, they can't keep up with that. You're almost paying more in the interest than you are toward the principal. And people, again, you can't keep up with that, especially when you start seeing the values tick downward as you're making these huge payments on this vehicle. You just know that you're going to find yourself in a huge amount of negative equity. And we've talked about it before. Across the nation, we're just over $6,000 on average in negative equity. So on all auto loans across the nation, people are on average in the whole $6,000 or more on their vehicle loan, meaning they owe $6,000 more than what it's worth. And that's pretty awful. That's the worst we've been in a very, very long time in this nation. And this line up here in particular, I always feel a certain way about it, right? I mean, these are the luxury segment SUVs, right? Not the full-size SUV, but a lot of people buy these and then they depreciate extremely, extremely fast. But then when you connect it to a year like we're about ready to experience now, we're starting to experience, where values just shoot downward and drop like a brick, this is definitely a recipe for disaster. When people take on large loans for these vehicles, like these Audis, like these BMWs, and then boom, before you know it, it is worth 40% less than what you paid for it just a year and a half ago. Let me see if I can show you here in the glare, the light. So 2022 Audi Q3 S-Line Premium Plus for $36,000 with 7,000 miles on it. You know, it just doesn't make sense to buy this particular one when you can buy a 2024 for in the 40s, low 40s, and get one with 0 miles on it. And it's not already 2 years old. So I always like looking at these Colorados. Here we have a 2018 Colorado ZR2. Let me show you what they're asking for. Oh, I'm sorry. So we have 2018 with 95,000 miles on it. So that's kind of a lot. Most vehicles here, they tend to have anywhere from 30 to 60,000 miles when they're this year. I know they like to shoot for that range anyway, but they want $31,000 for it. And when you can buy a brand new one in high 30s, low 40s, it's just hard to justify getting one with already a ton of life sucked out of it with 95,000 miles. So my mom actually just bought a Acura MDX Type S. So she gets some style points. Let's look how much they want for these guys over here. I haven't looked at them yet. So you're not gonna be able to see it, but we have a 2018 here. I'm trying to find a good angle for you guys, I'm sorry. We have a 2018 and they want $27,000 for it, and it has 70,000 miles. I don't know, I have a hard time spending that kind of money on a vehicle like this, where a lot of its life is already taken from it. 70,000 miles, that's nothing to scoff at. That's a lot. Granted, it is an Acura Honda-based product. I mean, they are very reliable, and they're notorious to run a while. Now, I gotta admit, I am starting to really like the look of the new Kias. I think they've done a great job at updating their aesthetics across the board. This one here, as I've already kind of peeked at it, they want $41,000 for this 2022 Sorento X-Line SX Prestige, and it already has 19,000 miles on it. I just don't understand why someone would buy this over going brand new. For barely more than that price tag there, you can get a brand new one with 0 miles on it. It's just not worth the small amount that you'd be saving, especially if you do end up financing with them, right? It makes 0 sense. So I think if Carmax is going to be moving their inventory, they need to be slashing these prices. We've talked about it before. I won't totally beat it to death, but even over here, this was a surprise to me. We have so much more inventory crammed all over there in that side of the parking lot. I thought this was all over here, and it goes out probably another 1,000 feet straight to that far corner. It's just so many vehicles are just piling up. People cannot afford these prices right now with these interest rates. And I will show you this Toyota Sienna. You guys know we actually owned a 25th anniversary edition Sienna recently, within the last year. They want $42,000 for it. A 2023 Toyota Sienna Hybrid LE, so it is a hybrid, has some style points there. And these, even with 24,000 miles, I mean, they have historically held value extremely well. But again, we're no longer in the time or in the era where vehicles are unattainable, right? There's a huge supply issue with these in particular, which made their used vehicle market extremely high. The residual value is extremely high, and people are getting more for what they paid new on their used one, lightly used one. So we can no longer do that. Carmax can't capitalize on it anymore because you can get these brand new. We got another buggy feature.
Hi, YouTube.
Crushed it, bro. He is wearing a wrestling singlet. He only wrestles 2 days a week, but he wears it at least 5 days a week. Is that right, dude? And a May feature. And forgive me guys, my microphone did cut out, but I wanted to really talk over this particular bit here. I'm showing you a Ford F-350, and on the back end of the truck, here on the passenger side of the bed, you'll see a lot of, they call it orange peel. You can tell that the entire bed back here has been repainted. So there was obviously some damage that has taken place on the bed of this truck previously, and it has been repaired and repainted. And in my opinion, if you have a keen eye for it, you can tell that this was done pretty poorly. It was a poor job that was performed on it. But I bring this up on purpose, and I wanted to make sure I include it in the video because it's so easy to go into a place like Carmax and look at the vehicles and not dissect the crud out of it. You're not going to be eyeballing every square inch of the vehicle, and to the naked eye from 15 feet away, you're not going to notice this. But once you start getting really close to the vehicle and compare it to the other parts of the vehicle, you'll quickly realize that there is something askew with this particular area, and it had clearly been repaired. And I went and checked their website. This particular F-350 does not show any accidents on its history report, although it clearly was in some sort of accident and needed repair. Sorry about that, guys. My microphone got disconnected there toward the end. We got a lot of wind noise. So we'll wrap up the video here. Those are the 3 reasons why I would honestly suggest that you do not buy from Carmax. Lot rot, terrible interest rates right now, and they're easily 10 to 15% overpriced across the nation when you compare them to other dealers and other private party sales happening around the nation. So what do I recommend? I mentioned it in a previous video, but if you are in a position to where you can buy a cheaper vehicle, it doesn't need to be a lot. It can be anywhere from as low as $5,000 up to $15,000. If you're able to buy one outright without taking a loan on it right now, that would put you in the best possible position. A lot of people, even if they take out a small loan for $10,000, they're going to be spending a ton of money toward interest, right, with current rates. And if you do have fair or normal credit, you're still getting aced with probably 12 to 15% interest rate on it. So try not to do that to yourself. If you are in a position to save up a little bit and just buy a cheaper vehicle outright and let that be your primary for as long as possible, try to get through this entire 2024, this downward spiral that we're seeing right now. And if you can buy a vehicle toward the end of 2024 or the beginning of 2025, I think you'll be in a much better place. So that would be my advice. Try to avoid buying a vehicle, especially from Carmax. There's a lot of questionable vehicles coming through there that don't really get the best proper treatment or proper inspections upon purchase. So I would recommend doing that. If you can buy one cheaper outright and avoid the interest rates, I think you'll be much happier in the long run. So with that, guys, we'll wrap up the video. As always, I really do appreciate you taking the time to tune into my videos. It means a lot. If you want to see more content like this, but with different companies, different organizations, not just CarMax as we teeter into 2024, please consider liking and subscribing. Your support means a lot. Thanks.